Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. Today we have an update with TriStar Gold President and CEO Nick Appleyard. TriStar announced pre-feasibility or updated pre-feasibility economics for its Castelo de Sonhos gold project in Brazil in May and closed a $10 million private placement last week. We'll be doing an update from Nick with Q&A. So if you have questions, please enter them into the comments box on the right-hand side of your screen. And thank you to those who sent in questions. We have those ready to go as well. And before we begin, as always, today's presentation will contain forward-looking statements. You can learn more about those in the presentation on the company's website. Welcome, Nick. Good to see you today.
Hey, Magda. Thanks for having me on, as always. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, right. Shall I just start going through?
Sure. 1 second. Annie, can you pull up the other version of that we just uploaded? There we go. Thank you. We're good.
And can you advance it for me, Magda?
Yes. All right. And we'll go.
As Magda just said, we'll be trying to look at some forward-looking statements to give you the best guidance possible. So please take note of that. Yep. Just first a general note on Brazil as a major gold mining development hotspot. I think it goes under the radar a lot of the time. I mean, people know that the geology is great, the minerals great, but I don't think people realize that there's sort of 5 or 6 mines have been built there in the last few years, and I don't know of another jurisdiction that's been as active in developing gold mines recently, all at good scale. These aren't tiny mines; these are all mid-tier. 100,000+ ounce producers, and it's really active development mining spot right now. Yeah, advance. So we did just update our PFS. There's some of the numbers here. The resources are unchanged as we hadn't done any additional drilling, so there was no change to them. We still have a 1.8 million ounces of indicated resources, but with the new PFS update, using base case $2,200 gold, which is, I think, still very conservative, but in line with what people are using and in line with the 3-year trailing average that people look at. We've still got an IRR of 40%, NPV5 post-tax of $600 million. And as you can see, the NPV5 is over $1 billion at closer to spot prices. What this tells us is that the deposit's still great, and that even though we have seen inflation, global inflation, we've all felt that, but the rise in metal prices, the rise in gold price predominantly, has far outstripped the increase in costs that we've seen. So we've updated our costs. We've got a brand new cost database. We've got the latest tax regime in there, and we have all the royalties in there and the latest gold price. So it is really a current look at the deposit and how it looks today in today's market. So deposit's looking great. Nothing else has changed. Obviously, metallurgy is unchanged, and environmental side is unchanged, and we've still got more potential to go, which is something I'll chat about a little bit more today. So we believe now that we have a multi-million ounce deposit with a license, with the permit, with social license. A lot of times people don't really realize or understand how much work goes into that. It's a massive amount. It's not just doing some geology, doing some mining engineering, and then putting a gold price onto it and you get the result. The whole team has worked on multiple fronts with the communities, with the government, local government, with our investors, with on the environmental side. I mean, it's a massive amount of work on a very broad front that goes to having a prepared mine that's ready for final feasibility and construction here. So I really want to shout out to my team for this broad scale of work that's been done to bring this project forward, to hopefully be the next sort of cab off the rank in that Brazil development pipeline. So this sort of slide is really a shout out to the team and the great work they've done to give us a permitted multi-million ounce deposit. Yep, move forward. As we said, the update here is a little bit more detail. As we said, the resource and reserves are unchanged. Reserves still 1.4 million ounces. Production schedule hasn't changed. We've still got that first 6 years, 150,000 ounces a year. Lifetime mine average 120,000 ounces. Initial capital is sitting there about right at 300 million, which still including 20% contingency. All-in sustaining has gone up a little bit, as you would expect, as you use higher metal prices, to $1,100. But you can see it's just very, very robust project right now in this regime, what we find ourselves, and really is ready to go. And I think this is what we're seeing now with the recent financing we've done. Raise some money. We've got this spectacular project, and now it's time for us to move forward. We've sort of been through a few slow years where we've been permitting, doing the PFS, the year, nearly a year lost with the public ministry. We're through all of that, and we've got a spectacular project ready to go. So things are looking really good right now. Next slide. More details on the economics here. I won't spend too much time on it because everybody can look at it, but the numbers are spectacular. Even pre-tax cash flow over $1 billion, $2,200 gold, and as I look at my other screen here, I see that gold is still over 3,300. So we've still got a very conservative approach to it, the way we're bringing it forward, and a spectacularly good project, great economics. Still very simple, which I think is really important. This isn't a highly complex project. There's nothing fancy has to be done to get these economics. It's the simplest plant you'll ever see, and very simple, open cut, fairly shallow mining. So it's all looking good. Next slide. Sensitivities. Again, I won't take too long on these, but you can just see that it just gets better and better as you go up. We've got loads of room on the downside. Should gold pull back a little bit, it'll still make money. It's a very robust project. At spot prices now, if you're looking at $3,300, I can't see it on my screen very clearly there, but the numbers are just spectacular. I will stop for a second and just answer a question that's come in. I mentioned earlier we lost nearly a year now under it, but 10 months on the public prosecutor. So quick update on that. When we got our LP permit August last year, within a few weeks of that, the public prosecutor questioned SEMAS, the state environmental agency, as to whether they had put us through the right processes to acquire that license. Just for everyone's benefit, SEMAS put us through everything that was required by law and everything that you would expect for the permitting of an international scale mine. They acted very professionally with us. They were very, very good. They were very thorough. What the public prosecutor was asking about was, do we have, or the belief from the public prosecutor was they thought we would have an impact on Indigenous lands. They were erroneous in that understanding of the project, so that has been corrected to them by SEMAS. They have the public prosecutor in detail in writing, saying this project has no impact and is not even close. It's not like it's a marginal thing. We're not close to having impacts on Indigenous lands. Therefore, the question that the public prosecutor was asking is, do we need to do impacts analysis to work out compensation for the Indigenous groups in the greater region? And the answer was a very clear no. There's no impacts, therefore there is no compensation calculation required. And again, it wasn't like it was even close. So that seems to be now just have fallen away. We haven't heard anything from the prosecutor for a long time. Neither has SEMAS, as far as I'm aware. Their answer was sent quite a while ago. Everyone else who's responded to the public prosecutor has said the same thing. There's no impacts, therefore there is no point doing an impacts analysis study to calculate a compensation. The one, maybe you could say, issue on it is that this is probably just going to be an issue that just fades away now. That's what we've been told. The public prosecutor won't sort of retract their letter, but there's no moving forward with it on anything. The public prosecutor is very active on other projects, so it's not like they're not fussed about these issues. They're very fussed about doing their job correctly and protecting the rights of the Indigenous groups. And I think they've seen very clearly that the rights of Indigenous groups haven't been impacted by our project whatsoever, have been respected in every way we can. And and there is no impact, therefore there is no need for a compensation agreement between us and the Indigenous groups. So I think that is finished as far as we're concerned. There's nothing else that we could see that could happen. So, yep.
And sorry, just one question about this. I think you actually mentioned a positive legal opinion as well with PFS update press release.
Yeah, so as part of that, I was hearing from my staff that's the situation. And on anything, this is a big issue. It's an important issue to shareholders and investors and to us internally. So we wanted to make sure that our understanding was correct. So we went to Pinheiro Neto, who is our legal advisor in Brazil and one of the largest law firms in Brazil in mining, to give us a legal opinion on that, to make sure that we understood it correctly, make sure I understood it correctly, and I was getting the right message from my staff. And it confirmed that situation. I mean, there's I think the simplest way to summarize it is the public prosecutor have done their job. They've asked a question. It's been answered very clearly and very concisely. And now we all move on with life. So
thank you.
Okay. All right, next slide. Yep. So the updated PFS didn't change the layout of the project. We still have the core of the project, Esperanza South, and with producing that 150,000 ounces a year, same processing facility, the same tailings dam, the same peripheral pits at Esperanza Center and East. Nothing's really changed there. But I will talk, I have this slide on a little bit. We've just raised $10 million Canadian and part of that money is going to be aimed at a drilling program, which I know people will want to hear about, but it's nice to look at this diagram. The idea for that drill program will be to extend the known mineralization at Esperanza South. That's the area where the highest grades are that we have in the property. We have great continuity there, and we have some very obvious holes in our drilling programs there. There's areas also where we failed to get to depth we were targeting, or we didn't target deep enough, and we learned later on that we needed to go back. So the areas we can go and fill in. So the drilling program that we will do will be all focused around Esperanza South, but not really internally, not infill drilling, step out drilling, just to see if we can extend that first phase, or what shows us 6 years on this slide, see if we can grow that phase and maybe make it 7 or 8 or however many years, depending on the success of the drilling. So that will be our focus in the drill program this year, will be to have the drills up around Esperanza South, seeing if we can enlarge that outline a little bit there. Okay, next slide. Yeah, and this is another slide talking about the same thing. This is where we'll focus, and you can sort of see the bulbous shapes that with gaps in between. A lot of those gaps don't have much drilling, and we think we can fill in those gaps with the drill program. If you see down on the lower portion of the slide there, the map starts to break up into little isolated pits. Again, I think a lot of that is to do with the lack of drilling. So we think if we fill that in more, we'll be able to fill that into one continuous pit. So this is the easiest way to add cash value to the project that we see is to fill in around here, get more high-grade mineralization that will go into that phase 1 production, which is the real economic heart of this deposit. Management and board. I think most people online have probably seen the presentation, seen the board. Nothing's changed here. No intentions to change anyone on the board in the near term. Everyone's still very active and very involved with the company here. So, yep, we'll move on from here. ESG leadership, again, something we'll be maintaining our focus on, maintaining our work with the communities, building the school at Esperanza 4, which is the closest community to us. We'll be working on that, working on general education, health, and infrastructure are the areas that we will be helping the communities. And again, we do it as efficiently as we can, but we do it as a broad team. Everyone's involved, and we all buy into this program that we work with. And so it's not just our community team; it's our geologists, it's our lawyers, the whole team buys into what we do here. And so that work will be evolving a little bit more as we get busier this year and get drilling. Yep. Capital structure. It's just updated now following the, updated following the recent capital raise. Although I noticed we haven't yet added Eric Sprott to the investors there, but we still have Oramet, US Global, and Gold 2000 or Conwave as major shareholders, but they've been added to now as Eric Sprott is now also nearly a 10% shareholder. Obviously, our cash position is looking a lot better than it has for a while. And I think we're seeing that, starting to see some reflection into the market of the opportunities here in this company and this what we represent. I mean, even here, this slide was done a few days ago. 17.5 cents is showing. I know that our current price is 20 cents, so we seem to be moving up. And I think this does right now represent an amazing opportunity, because our share price has been artificially depressed by the public prosecutor issue over the last 7 or 8 months. Whilst gold price has been going, whilst Brazil is still a great location to develop an asset, now with that public prosecutor situation pretty well behind us, I think there's an opportunity here for us to decompress the share price, unlock that value that should have been unlocked, following the issuance of the LP permit, and in combination with the $3,300 gold price. So there is an unbelievable opportunity here, for this price to move up. Mineral reserves and resources remain unchanged. The only thing that's really worth pointing out on here, because I think most of you are familiar, is that Esperanza South, you can see it's a 1.3 gram per ton deposit compared to the east and center, which are around 0.8. That's why we want to focus on Esperanza South. We would not expect the grade to change at Esperanza Center. We understand this deposit very, very, very well. As you get closer to the source of the placer gold, you get spread over a broader area and a lower grade. So when you hit that sweet spot where it's wide enough to be a good bulk mine, but the grade is high, that's Esperanza South. So that's where we want to be focusing. Yep, and that's the presentation. And yeah, Magda, have you got some questions for me?
Oh, thank you, Eddie. Yes, thank you, Nick. We have questions for you. We'll start off with an audience question. Good job, Nick, in preserving capital and the project. While we know that the delay is negative, are there any positives that could have taken place or happened during this delayed time? Can you please comment? So I think it's asking whether there's been anything that could have happened. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think the silver lining really is that the market now is much better than it was a year ago. If we were trying to advance the project last August, September, I think we would have found it hard. If we were looking for a partner at that time, maybe we would have been open to take a less favorable deal because the market wasn't there, the M&A market wasn't there, and they're coming now. We're seeing the M&A market now. We're seeing valuations, increasing in the development companies. So I think the delay, I mean, it's never a good delay, as you say. It's something that happened, and we've dealt with it. It's behind us now. But I think the silver lining is we've come out of that into a much better market than we went into it in. So I'd say that would be the silver lining in what's happened.
Got it. Thank you. And then we have another question, what are the next steps? Do you have an estimate of when we can expect to see gold come out of the ground, or would that be done by TriStar or an outside?
Yep, no, great question, because I mean, a company with us, like with a $50 or $60 million market cap and trying to build a $300 million project is a big challenge and a big risk point. So our next step, as I said, is going to be the drilling, just to fill out Esperanza South ahead of our feasibility study. The idea would be a feasibility study could be completed next year, and then you've got a 2-year construction period after that. Sort of based on what G Mining did at TZ just up the road. It would be most efficient if that was done by a bigger company than us, and it would also be done in a less risky way. I mean, if they've already got the staff, they've already got the experience to do it. It's a much easier and simpler startup than a company like TriStar trying to get all of the staff, trying to find people out in the open market who know how to build and run a mine. Is not an easy thing. I've been through it before, and it's a real point of risk. So for me, we will move forward. We will do it, but I think the preferred route would be to find a party, a bigger company, to actually build and run this project, and whether that be as in partnership with TriStar or they buy the whole project at a favorable price to our shareholders. Either way is acceptable. I mean, we would just make a decision on what's best for our shareholders.
Makes sense. And I see a question about drilling. So you mentioned drilling. When would the drilling be expected to be completed?
We're looking at around about 5,000 meters. So we're still planning the drilling right now. So we haven't committed the drill rigs. We've got quotes from the drilling companies that are ready to sign, but I want to get down to Brazil myself and go through the program in a bit of detail with the team. I would imagine by the time we pull the trigger, it'll be August when we start, and the drilling will go through the end of the year.
Got it. Thank you. And then we have a question that was submitted before the webinar. Following recent raises, explain the funding requirements still needed, the timetable, and the next steps towards PFS or feasibility and full permitting.
Yeah. So we still guess that the full feasibility, by the time you've done the whole lot, would be around about $10 million. So that's not in the budget now, not in our plans to get done this year or soon. And then obviously after that, you got the $300 million build. So they're the big numbers. We'll look at how we would do that ourselves if we needed to, or as I said, the preferred route would be a partner comes in, or an acquirer comes in. As I've been through the startup before, and whoever's going to build it and run it needs to have a say and be involved in the feasibility study. So there are ways we're looking at where maybe someone will come in, get involved in the feasibility study, and then make a decision whether they acquire us or take a bigger chunk later on. But they have a say in that feasibility study. Otherwise, they're trying to run a mine in a couple of years' time, and they're just cursing decisions that a different team made 3 years previous. So we will be looking very shortly for who will be the operator and
motion detected at the front door,
and how they'll be involved.
Got it. Thank you. And we had another question about, you mentioned Eric Spratt earlier in the presentation. Can you tell us a little bit what the Eric Spratt investment does for the project? You're on mute, Nick.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's great to have Eric involved. And he came in, quite large into that last placement. He took nearly half of it. What it means to us is that I think is just the validation from experienced third parties. Sorry,
Nick, you're on
everyone.
mute.
The dramas are working from home. Yeah, so Eric coming in is great. What it means to us, I think it does. Eric has a following, so hopefully that'll help us in the retail market. He also has a lot of other companies he's involved with, so it opens doors there as well to talk to those companies as well. And like I said, just that third-party validation from having such a well-known mining investor, person involved in the company.
Got it. Thank you. And I see a question here about royalties. Are there any third-party royalties on the property?
Yes, there are. There's 2% royalty to the original vendor, Brazilian family, and there is a 1.5% royalty to Royal Gold.
Okay.
3.5% overall.
Thank you. And looking at permitting with the LP in hand and putting the mine construction by aside, whoever does it, what is ahead, or is anything still needed on the permitting front for future mine operations specifically?
I mean, in Brazil, they have the three big permits. So the LP, which is the EIA approval that we've got. The LI is the installation license to construct the mine. And then the LO is the operating license to run it and build and operate it. But apart from that, there's always, as every other jurisdiction, probably 50 or 100 small permits required for explosive storage, water usage, water discharge. There's always a lot of minor permits. So as an example, right now we have permits to drill in a lot of the areas around Esperanza South, but we probably still need to get permits so we can do geotechnical and condemnation drilling, maybe under the tailings dam and stuff, things like that. There's always going to be small minor permits that take a month or two or 3 or 4 to get if you get a slow month. But the big ones are sort of laid out. But our team will be working continually on those minor permits. As you would be in any other jurisdiction.
Got it. Thank you. And here's an audience question. Are there any Brazilian lenders keen to advance to the project?
There seems to be more interest from groups out of Brazil to finance projects. So, we haven't spoke to, we're not looking for lenders yet. We're not looking for debt yet. We're not quite far enough advanced. But even at the stage we're at when we're looking, for financing and for, thinking about, maybe doing the feasibility and things like this, there are groups in Brazil that seem to be getting more and more active. These days, we haven't got any of them invested in us yet, but we have been talking to a few of them, and they do seem to get more understanding on the Canadian markets, which obviously they would need to invest in a company like us, and they do seem to have a lot of funds these days.
Okay, thank you. And Nick, with such a gap between TriStar's current market cap of right around like $60 million, and the after-tax NPVs at spot or the base case of the updated PFS, how do you see this gap closing? And having said that, the stock is up like over 50% year to date.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's my job now to unlock that value, and from the depressed share, the artificially depressed share price that we've had due to the public ministry. So that'll be something. We will have a larger IR budget than we've had for many, many years now that we have some funding. But I think that will unlock itself naturally as well. The project sort of stands out and stands on its own and sort of shouts how good it is these days. And there are very few, and there is more M&A activity, so that's going to drive the value. And I think any investor can see that, and we'll see that something is going to happen here in the near future.
Got it. And with these recent gold price spikes and increasing interest in junior gold mining, is there any change in sentiment that you've seen from corporates that you can comment on?
Yeah, I think there's been a real change this year since I've been back at work. I see people very serious when they're looking. I think over the couple of years beforehand, corporate development teams were, not disparaging them, but they're filling in their timesheets. They're coming and they're looking, they're kicking the tires, and they're saying it's really interesting, but it's not the right time for them. But it's an interesting project. They really like it, but it's not. But not now. Now, when we speak to people, they seem really interested, and they're like, "Okay, what's the timeline? What do we got to do?" And it's, I think that M&A has really changed this year, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely an exciting time to be in this space. I don't have any other questions. I don't see anything else from the audience, Nick. Is there anything else you wanted to go over today we haven't had a chance to get to?
I don't think so. I really think it's we focused on having a single asset company so that we could develop it, and it makes it easy to either partner or sell it to a bigger company. We're at the end of the line really on that, on our skill set, where we can take this to, and we're in a great market now. $3,300 gold. I think there's awesome opportunities in the share price right now. People will probably see in the press release I partook quite in that last placement as well, because I really do believe that this is an incredible opportunity we can see right now.
All right, thank you, Nick. Before I let you go, I see a question. What is the resource target of the next exploration program?
Yeah, that one's a tough one. The initial drill program would be step out at too broad a level to really add to the indicated resources. It would be, proof of concept. Step out 100 or 200 yards or meters, and show that the high grade mineralization is there. And then if we hit it, then we would have to go and do a little bit more drilling to add to the resources or add to the indicated resources, which would need to get into the pit. But that would be done in the feasibility study. So I doubt we'll see a material change in the resources based on this program. But what it'll do is it'll make it very obvious where the growth is, and would be able to sort of thumbsuck it and say, okay, look, this area is growing by 200 or 400 meters out to the west, and make it obvious where we can go and where we can get more ounces.
Okay, got it. Thank you. There's just one more question I think we'll touch on. The other one, we'll send the report to David. Would the investment community view TriStar more positively, if there was more conviction about like gold thing?
TriStar more, if gold was going into the box now.
If it was going to stay.
Yeah, obviously, as you get closer to production, and then into production, your discount to your net asset value, reduces drastically. And if we were mining now, we should be trading at, the value of the asset, which is going to be, I don't know, $600-800 million. Because we're 2 to 3 years away, we're trading at a minor percentage of that. But as we advance and as we, now finish on the MPF issue and show that we can move forward to unlock that value, that's where I see this share price has been artificially depressed, and we can unlock that value to be trading at, 20% or 40% of the net asset value, which is where we should be, rather than what we're at, less than 10% right now. So there is, some real intrinsic value in the asset that we should be able to unlock now.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Just one follow-up question, and then Would you be expecting an upgrading of the resource then at Esperanza South, I think?
Yeah, I think well, if the drilling, as it goes, and as we're looking at planning it, would probably upgrade the inferred resources only. Because we're going to be doing step outs on a broader scale. We're not doing infill to upgrade inferred to indicated. We're doing step out where there was complete gaps in the drilling. So it would probably add inferred resources at this stage, just based on the 5,000 meters.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Thank you, Nick, for the update. If anybody has any other questions, please reach out to info@adcap.ca and we will get back to you. Thank you, Nick. Thank you to the audience. And have a great day.
Okay, thank you very much, Magda.
Thank you.